What is up, everybody? Thank you so much for coming in this second chance on the second episode of Spyt-Takes. I am your host, Spytle, and I will give you my take on various things. Tonight, it's super stuff. We're going over all the shows that you know and love related to DC Universe Online. If you're new here and don't know who I am the creative director on DC Universe Online at Sony Online Entertainment, and we are going to talk some DC Comics shows this evening. We have brand new shows out this year and some old ones returning, of course. 3 new ones, 1 old one. We're going to go through each one. Each week we come here at you, usually on Thursdays. Tonight we're doing it on Friday because we had a little mishap last night, and we give you all the latest dish on Constantine, The Flash, Gotham, and Arrow. That's right, we're doing it all here. If you haven't seen these latest episodes and you're worried about spoilers, get the hell out of here because we're spoiling. Better be up to date if you want to take part in this show because I'm dishing it all, I'm spilling it all. Nothing's sacred here. We're going right up to date. It's my show, my rules, and those are what they are. Spoiler alert, massive spoiler alert. All right. First thing I want to do, we're going to go through all the shows tonight. Definitely going through Constantine first because that aired last Friday. Then we're going to be doing, going through, yeah, it is a little more style than when I did Karma to Burn. I put some goop in it, make it stay up a little bit. And we're going to be going through Constantine, which went on Friday. Really good episode of Constantine, my favorite one so far for sure. Then we're going to be going through Gotham, brand new episode of that. Really cool episode, introduced Harvey Dent. We'll talk about his character. And then we're going to go through The Flash, always continuing to be a great show. Very CW, but very awesome. No matter, little Smallville cheese going on there, but we love it. We love the cheese, the CW cheese. And then we're going to be talking Arrow, the show I love to hate to love. Anyway, all right, before we do that, welcome Smurf. How's everybody doing out there tonight? Hope you had a good time watching FNL. If you tuned into that tournament, we're going to go through a little bit here of a little commentary I had on the first episode of Spyt-Takes from a gentleman that is well known on the forums. Let's see if I can pull this up here. His name is Veritas. He had some comments about my reviews and my takes on this. Basically, he says, let's actually get a big view here of this. First off, seriously, great way to shed light on the holy trinity of my TV week. Arrow, Gotham, The Flash are just good damn television. However, I feel it's my obligation to defend, educate, and inform Spytle. Yes. On his short-sighted views. I think it's short-sighted, by the way, just to clarify. And I am not short-sighted. I am long-sighted because I am very, very tall. And he says, naturally, I promise it's all constructive and in good spirits. All right, well, we will take that for what it's worth because it does get a little, I don't know, a little yelly in here sometimes. But anyway, he agrees with my take on Gotham. However, he is not in agreement that the intro camera or that intro camera work was weird of anything but good lighting and camera work. Anyway, let me explain something to you, Veritas. I wasn't talking about camera work in general over the show. I was literally talking about one shot in one episode, one technique that they used. And I didn't care for it. I didn't think it fit. And you know what? I think they agree with me because I haven't gone back to it since. Basically, it was when Gordon had the camera mounted to his body and it just focused on his face. You've seen this camera before. They do it on the ghost shows all the time where they have somebody in night vision and they're just staring at their face. And, oh my God, what's going on? Did you hear that? And things are happening all around them. But he was running down the hall, so it gave this really strange kind of lilting, kind of rhythm to it. And shows have styles. Shows have things that they, kind of stick with. Battlestar Galactica, great example, really does, this cool kind of searching around, jerking, and then boom, they zoom in on a particular Viper that's streaking across the hull of the Galactica. They do this a lot. They stuck with it the whole show because it worked. They liked it. Fans liked it. They didn't stick with this on Gotham. So I think I'm in the right on this one. Otherwise, camera work's great. In fact, I'm going to go into that tonight and talk about some brilliant camera work and lighting they did to introduce the character Harvey Dent. Bullock, he says, personally never came off as corrupt, more of a fallen hero. He's totally corrupt. He's in cahoots. He's both a fallen hero because we know that from his mentor, but he's totally corrupt at the beginning of the show. He asks Gordon to go and execute somebody so that they can be in the know. He's completely corrupt. You're wrong. Completely corrupt. Did like Venom. Very good. Penguin, very good. All right, here you go. You got me here on this Block 2 Arrow. Meat and potatoes in my review. Yep, boxing arrow. Boxing glove arrow. You got me there. I eat my words, and I did so. He goes in here. Have I even read Arrow comics? First and foremost, have you even read Arrow comics? His early career, he killed like a cold-blooded assassin in Assassin's Creed video game. I don't know about that. I don't remember him and Speedy back in the Golden Age running around slaying people with arrows. In fact, I remember a lot more trick arrows than anything else. In fact, I would say he's the pioneer of non-lethal ammunition. So, good Lord. I mean, look. Jeesh. Anyway, I think he's a little more forgiving on the lethality scale. At least the comics that I read in the Silver Age, too, where he was teaming up with Flash and Green Lantern and stuff like that. I didn't remember him being such a killer. It's just to each their own. This is a matter of choice and preference. I actually loved the show when it first started and loved the hard edge to it. But then it sort of started really dawning on me the more and more he went and the more he killed, that he was maybe just as bad as the people he was taking out. In fact, it just wasn't justice, it was vengeance. And he has softened. I think the character has gone through a metamorphosis there. Anyway, the Big Belly Burger, just shut your mouth! Laugh out loud. All right. I'm going to shut my mouth here. I think they went there a little more than you imagine, and I know that Ollie took to-go packs back to the mansion on many occasions. But I guess my point here is that this was a family thing. They missed their father. They were doing a lot of bonding here. And it's one of those things where a show has a limited set, and, they keep using the set over and over and over again. Doesn't like my crazy maneuver stuff either there, I guess, on the motorcycle. Come on. The motorcycle stuff was in this season with that jousting was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. Watch the continuity errors too. Bow on, bow off. I mean, it was just bad camera work and bad continuity with the stuntmen and the editor and all that kind of stuff. And by the way, when that I forget, I don't even remember who it was, but when that assassin he was fighting lays down his bike and he picks it up to go, there's literally fuel spilling out of the bottom onto the pavement, and then the guy speeds off. Just not buying it. And anyway, Block 3 Flash. I totally agree with me on my assessment. Great, I'm glad we agree on that, Veritas. By the way, thank you so much for the feedback. I really enjoyed reading this, and I enjoyed seeing someone so engaged with the show, even on episode 1, that you took the time to do this. Thank you for the tweet that led me here. I really do appreciate it. It was a good read. How you guys doing out there, by the way? Did my chat die? I'm not seeing you guys in the chat here. It looks like it's a bit static. Let's test it out. Test. Are you with me? Let's see. All right, so let's move on here. Let's talk about Constantine. That is the first show that we are going to be talking about here this evening. This was a fantastic episode. Fantastic. Oh, sorry, we were unable to connect to the chat. Reconnecting in 2 seconds. Let's see if I get back with you guys here. I certainly hope so. I'm going to take a quick, brief... Okay, chat died. Okay, but stream is good, right? All right, good. Good to know. All right, so we're going to talk Constantine. By far, best episode of Constantine so far. Loved it. Thought they paid off on a lot of stuff here. Really liked where they went with it. So this episode starts off, by the way, hitting every one of my creepy buttons. Every single one of my buttons that you could possibly push that would make me go in a show that makes you want to go. They did it. Why? Sweaty guy getting off a plane, walking through the airport to customs. Oh my God. First of all, could it be more topical with all the Ebola shenanigans that has been going on lately? And the last thing, I travel a lot for work, going to conventions, going to shows, going to press, going back to the mothership in San Diego. And for meetings out there, and nothing creeps me out more than somebody coughing on a plane around me. Hate it. Can't stand it. Can't stand it. I'm a little bit of a germaphobe, wash my hands a lot and all that kind of stuff. So this guy getting off the plane, the sweaty thing, just set the tone for me on a personal level that really drew me into the show even more. I'm not saying that's all going to happen to every single one of you, but it's certainly happened to me. And then I was thinking, oh my God, they're going to make this customs agent like an idiot, and he's going to let him through. But good on them. That customs agent was like right on it, Johnny on the spot. He takes Constantine's friend into the customs, and they have this jar. And man, they opened up the jar, and the bugs pour out. Turns out to be some kind of demon. Takes control of the TSA agent that's there. Really good way to start it off, and the guy's just completely freaked out. And I liked how they used the bugs and the insects, because as you know, I'm a fan of the Keanu Reeves movie. Crucify me if you want, but I actually like that film. It was a really cool film. I liked all the actors in it. I love the storylines. Probably the best Lucifer ever put into film, in my opinion. That performance was so great by that actor. Love it. Hello, John. Hello. So good. Anyway, so they do the whole bug thing for the demon. I loved how they had that guy just munching out on everybody's food, and then literally takes the fries that are still in the fryolator and sticks them in his mouth. Crazy. So this consumption demon's going around, and we learn from Constantine, his friend shows up, is in the anti-gravity trap that's like in the TARDIS that is a cabin. And oh, come on now, Miss Supreme. Mrs. Supreme. No, Mr. Supreme. Miss Supreme. Oh God, I always get it wrong. I never know. Come on, give it a chance. It's a good movie. Anyway, it was really well done there. I love that trap that they had. And then they start going off full tilt. Here's the best part about this. Constantine. I did that to irk you people. Okay, any of you haters out there. Constantine comes in, and he basically tells Zed a while ago that people around him die. Right, people around him die. So we learn that this guy is a junkie. He's a junkie. He was around Constantine back in the day. He was kind of a coward when Constantine's soul got damned during that incident with the demon. And he kind of wants redemption. And Constantine is the biggest douche in this episode, but he does it in such an awesome way. I love the scene where he goes to learn about what is going on with this demon, and he goes on that trip with that shaman, and they did the whole thing with the eyeballs. Like, you need to see this through my eyes. And he literally took Constantine's eyeball out during the trip and put it in his own head. Awesome stuff. And that drug that basically once you take it, you're tripping forever unless you have the counter agent. I thought that was really, really cool. And the trip that they did was awesome. So they go through the whole thing. This is like Bugs, this demon was actually bound. And his friend, trying to do good, like it was a dumbass, and actually freed this demon that was confined and going to die and be sent back to hell with that boy that was the sacrifice. So not only was that boy's sacrifice in vain because of this drug addict friend from his past, I forget his name, but now he's creating all these other problems too. And Zed is arguing for Constantine to give this guy another chance, but of course he doesn't want to. He thinks this guy's a lost cause. And the whole time when they're figuring out they need the ritualistic dagger, the angel comes down and says, what are you going to do? And I knew immediately, like, oh my God, Constantine, he learns that the thing needs a sacrifice from the shaman. He's going to sacrifice his friend. And sure enough, he sets his friend up, brings him there alone, and basically takes this guy who's recovering and coming off of heroin in a very vulnerable emotional state and physical state, and connives him to get this demon and put this demon inside of him and die a horrible, awful death in order to make right what he did. Now, that's the one saving grace here, right, is that the guy really did screw up. And he really did let out this demon that he shouldn't have. He shouldn't have been messing with these forces at all at this point. He didn't know what he was doing and what he was unleashing. So it was sort of his fault, and this was his sort of penance for that. But man, that is cold, man. That is cold. Constantine was cold-blooded, hardcore wizard in this freaking magic user. in this freaking sorcerer, whatever you want to call him, in this episode. Wow, really awesome, dark episode. And then he comes back and he basically said, "I told you, Zed." She's shocked that he did this to him, that he would do this, and he's like, "People around me die. Get used to it. People around me die." And man, I can't tell you how awesome that episode was for me. It was so great. It was had a very human level to it in terms of the addiction and his past and his friend. We learned a lot about Constantine, and we learned the lengths that he would go to. You know, what relationships are sort of what they mean to him. Yeah, I agree with you, Maximum Paper. It is a very dark, very cold place. And I don't know that they were 100% paying off on that until this moment. They were starting to hit it last episode, but this episode, man, he absolutely nailed it. So, great episode of Constantine. NBC's really I noticed a lot of changes. You can tell they're changing his outfit a little bit. It's not always the red tie with the grossly, exaggerated open hanging thing. They're playing around with it a little bit to kind of keep the tone of the character, but make it a little more believable, seem a little less like a costume. I think they're going to do a really, really good job with that. So, good on them for this show. So let's move on from Constantine. Unfortunately, I'm doing a new thing on the show, which you'll see with these last 3 episodes, but unfortunately, I cleaned off my DVR a little bit here, and I don't have any clips. What? Clips? You're crazy. From Constantine this week. So we're not going to be able to see that. So let's move on. Let's check out, let's talk about Gotham, which aired Monday. Okay, and by the way, what I just talked about, that Constantine, was last week's episode. Have not seen tonight's episode. That was last week's episode. We'll talk about tonight's episode next Thursday. Okay? So Gotham introduced Harvey Dent. I liked what they did here. I thought this was a really, really good episode. I really liked a couple things that happened here. First of all, several storylines going on right now. So Bruce and Selina Kyle are growing closer. Harvey basically says he wants to go after somebody. I forget the guy's name. He wants to go after somebody. And Gordon says he has a witness with Selina Kyle to the murder of the Waynes. Excuse me. He has a witness to the murder of the Waynes. And so he wants to put her somewhere safe, Selina. So he takes her to Wayne Manor. And of course, Alfred is like, no, you can't leave her here. And Bruce is like, she can stay if she wants to. You'll hold on, Duncan Fatal. We'll just wait for it. Oh yeah, Karma, it is the mid-season finale. I picked a hell of a time to start my show, right as all these things are going on mid-season finale. But of course, you notice my intro says a show about stuff, and I insert super stuff. So if you like the show and the Spyt-Takes, and you want to see what we do next, maybe that little carrot in that edition will have some other stuff in it. Fantasy, urban fantasy. I love Supernatural. A lot of cool shows on right now. Sleepy Hollow. We'll be talking about those in the future too. But let's get back to the DC stuff, okay? So Selina is getting very close to Bruce because she's now staying at Wayne Manor, and they're talking to each other. And Bruce is like a hardcore little emo kid now, I'm like testing myself, and she's telling him you're a joke. They don't wear boxing gloves because Alfred's teaching him how to box. They don't wear boxing gloves in the street. You're not going to be holding your breath in the street or going swimming and in the bottom of a pool isn't going to help you in the city, in the real street. So she's kind of teaching him or opening his eyes a little bit to the hard knocks, but they're also connecting. In fact, there was a little bit of like puppy love stuff going on, and kind of first kiss talk and things like that. So that relationship is developing. And Alfred initially wanted her out of Wayne Manor, but she's making Bruce smile and play and have fun, and so now he wants her to stay, which was very cool. Meanwhile, Barbara Gordon has left the show, Barbara, his girlfriend, has left the show, and is two-timing it. Is it Renee? I mean, she's sleeping around. I need to get away and clear my head and go back to sleeping with chicks while I just left you in my apartment. Very strange. Don't know what's going on with Barbara. And then we have some cool shit going on with Penguin and Harvey Dent. We're going to talk about Harvey Dent last. Penguin in this episode was badass. So cool. Breaks into Maroni's girlfriend's, or sort of companions, courtesans, apartment. And he smells her blouse. He's looking for clues of something. We don't know what. And he smells her blouse. And then he goes over and he smells her perfume and realizes they don't match. That's how sensitive his nose is, right? And so then he goes over to Fish Mooney's, just walks right in there, like totally ballsy move, and just sniffs her. Lilacs, right? That's what he says at the apartment too. And he just puts it together that Fish has set up Maroni, a person really close to Maroni, who's this chick, this really hot singer girl, and then blackmails her. Doesn't tell Maroni, even though he's her snitch. Doesn't tell Fish. He's getting people in his pocket. So he's like really continuing to be very effectively manipulative on all fronts here. So good, awesome. Yeah, that lilacs line was awesome. He says it in the apartment, and then he goes and he says it again. And she knows somebody was in his apartment. And that's why she's so easily swayed and capitulates with Penguin later. But Penguin continuing to be an awesome character. But let's talk about Harvey Dent. Let's talk about the introduction of this character. All right, first and foremost, the ages of these characters in Gotham are all over the place. Characters that should be the same age as Bruce are much older. Characters that you think would be the same age as other characters are much younger, and like Poison Ivy and Selena Kyle, as you guys are pointing out in the chat here. It's very weird how they're doing this. I'm not quite. I don't dislike it. I like it a lot, but it's interesting. I think that this is going to be a self-compartmentalized kind of version of the universe where they're playing around. It's sort of a retelling. It's almost like a Elseworld kind of thing where people's ages are different. But yeah, man, really cool introduction to the character. Gordon meets him out front. And I think that one thing that they did, and I'm going to show you a clip right now from the show, which I think was my favorite moment from the show. Okay, this was definitely the highlight for me on the show this evening. Let's talk about this right here. So this is Harvey Dent's office, and what they've done here is so smart. I mean, it is so absolutely smart. They have taken his desk. Okay, let's look at this shot right here. Okay, so what they've done is they've put on one side of he's got his desk, and then there's this projector screen, and then on the other side over here they have some windows. Okay, and then what they cleverly do is they have Harvey walking back and forth in the room with his subjects that he's looking at in the middle. So let me turn the room for you here, right? The window is where I'm standing. Harvey's desk is over here, and the characters he's talking to are over here. He walks back and forth, and as he does, he's turning to face them. So he's turning the sides of his face, right? And they do this really extreme lighting on one side, and they get this amazing feeling of Two-Face right there. And they have a projector going too, where there's the image of the guy he's trying to set up is also on the good side of his face. So you're getting these weird textures, layers upon layers upon layers on this like really dramatic kind of take on his face. Now look how he goes over here, and the other side of his face is dark now, and the other one is light. I'm going to play it again for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about here. It's very cleverly done in terms of how they set up the lighting in his office and the blocking, so they can have him going back and forth, having one side of his face going extreme in and out of shadow. And you can see that his mood and his attitude changes during these moments as well. Brilliantly done. Well done to everyone involved in this scene. I thought it was probably my favorite moment with the Harvey Dent in the show. I truly thought it was brilliantly done. Bravo to the blocking, the direction, the cinematography, the lighting. Pretty much everything about this scene just was spot on to me. You know, that's Two-Face right there, people. That's your Two-Face. That's Harvey Dent. That's your Two-Face. he does have the coin maximum paper. He uses it in the beginning, right when Gordon meets him, to kind of get a kid that tries to pickpocket him to go on the straight and narrow with some ridiculous theory that the teenagers always choose heads. I don't know what that's all about. But this was really well done. I mean, this was a crowning moment here, to be honest with you. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I thought the actor did a good job. Later, he loses his temper in a very interesting way as well. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about with this episode, and I'm actually forgetting what it was right now, to be honest with you. I'm just trying to recall in my head the whole episode here, and it was something more toward the end. And yeah, and the whole thing about scratching one side of the face too, like scarred, you can tell this is more like he has a light side and he has a dark side. And I think that they're doing something else here with this too. If you guys notice, you'll see that the projection from the projector he's talking about is on his face, and texture keeps changing on his face as he's moving around as well, which I thought was very cool. Really, really cool. Yeah, what happened at the ending, Duncan? I'm trying to remember right now, and I'm so enamored by this scene that I'm actually kind of blanking on it right now. I can't remember what happened at the end. Why am I forgetting? It was kind of important too. It was kind of important. Shed some light on this for me. What exactly happened? I remember Penguin gets the chick under his control. Oh my God! I remember what it was before you even told me. Okay, here's the coolest part of this whole episode, actually. So they finally, after all this talk of the Arkham development, they open up Arkham. Arkham Asylum is opened up. They feel, so basically what happens is a lot during this episode, there's a plot to, the end was Renee and Barb in bed. I talked about that in the beginning. But the most important part was actually the opening of Arkham Asylum for the criminally insane. Okay, so, you and me both, Duncan. We were having a blank there. But I got it for you. You'll catch up in a second. Really well done. So first of all, their Arkham, the way it looks in, you know what? Let me see if I can actually find an image of that really quick to show you guys. Let's see if we can't search this out here. Gotham, CW, Arkham Asylum. I didn't actually prepare a screenshot from that, but it's a really cool building. Yeah, here it is right here. Let's look at this. Let's look at this image. It's a very, very cool building. I thought that it was really well done. You can see kind of I love this. Looks like ours in DCUO, where it has different ledges and the sloping roofs and everything like that. I think they've done a really good job on putting this together. It's a very cool looking building on the show. And at the end of this, they actually open it up for because they realize that the criminals that are in Arkham Asylum aren't getting the help that they need. They aren't getting the help that they need, and there was this bomb guy that escaped. It was a super cool episode there, where there was this awesome gunfight with Bullock and Gordon and a bunch of gangsters. Fish is doing her thing, and they blow up some of Maroni's money or whatever it is. But the mayor opens this up and he basically says, we need to help these people they can't get the proper treatment. My eyes have opened. We are going to refit Arkham Asylum as a center for the criminally insane. And then here's the funny thing, guys. I think that maybe every prisoner they've ever freaking locked up in Blackgate Prison is insane, because they literally take buses and buses and buses and buses. So many prisoners are being unloaded into Arkham Asylum for treatment out of Blackgate Prison. I mean, they literally feel like they must have emptied Blackgate Prison in order to get the scene that they wanted at the end there, with these loads people like pouring into Arkham. But it was really cool. I look forward to where they're seeing. They've now let that genie out of the bottle, and Arkham is open for business, as we say on the DC Universe Online team. All right, so that's your Gotham episode for this week with that really cool moment from Harvey Dent and that brilliant scene. Let's talk about The Flash. Oh, my God, this show is flipping amazing. It is so cool. All right, so in this episode, we were introduced to a classic Flash villain. So let's actually go over here and take a look at that. His name was... what, people? Let's go through how he got his name. So I forget the character's name that's on The Flash, actually. That is, tell me what the long hair, the guy with the black hair who's assisting Flash and made the suit. What's his name again? If you guys can chat, can help me out. I actually forget. Anyway, this guy, his sort of shtick on the show so far is that he ends up naming everybody. He comes up with the names for the villains. He did Plastique in the episode prior to this. No, it's Cisco. It's Cisco. Yeah, Cisco. So Cisco's cool because Cisco comes up with the names. So what I loved about what they did with Cisco's naming thing this time was usually he comes up with a name for the villain based on what the villain is doing, or something like, Captain Cold, or with, Plastique. It really has to do with the villain itself. But this time they cleverly flipped it on its head. So Barry was having a lot of trouble fighting this enemy that could turn his skin into metal. And it's actually somebody from his childhood and his past, right? And so what they did was they had Cisco create a robot hydraulic, fighting machine with these hook arms and things that could kind of move around really herky-jerky and try and hit Barry. But it was made out of metal, so Barry could almost practice. It was almost like, Jackie Chan with that Wing Chun thing. Or actually, Arsenal or Roy Harper used that in the episode of Arrow. We'll talk about that in a second. But he said, hey, I've got this thing for you to practice on so you can learn how to, hit metal. Every substance has its breaking point or its weakness depending on how fast or in directions you hit it. And, hey, I call the sparring dummy Girder. And then he goes, now, your Girder, the one in the field. So he actually names the sparring dummy and inadvertently tags the villain with that as well. I thought that was super clever. I really appreciated the moment. So Girder is a Flash villain, been around for a long time, and you can see here some shots of Girder in the comics. And so Girder's deal, if we go over to Comic Vine right here, is, after being thrown into a vat of molten steel at Star Labs, Tony Woodward was transformed into a steel giant. He uses his newfound strength for crime as Girder. And you can see all of the really cool shots of him. In the comics, he actually kind of looks like a patchwork guy made out of metal. And you can kind of see that right here. This is his sort of traditional comic book look. See if we can find a slightly better, less blown out, or a larger picture there. I mean, you can see it all right here. He pretty much looks as you would imagine him to. It's all looks like he was constructed, almost like robot. Oh my God, Girder. So this is the guy that he fought. Of course, he looks way different in the episode that we saw him in. He's just looks almost a little more like Colossus from Marvel, except he lacks the line work and the kind of plating. So this guy's a total dick, and he helps Barry drive home with Iris that what she's doing is very dangerous, blogging about him, and is going to draw the wrong kind of attention to her. So in this episode, we really see Detective West doing a lot of work to try and help free Wally's father. That's a very important part of the episode. Is his quest to continue to, try and help free Wally's dad. And in doing so, he's talking with the professor a lot and kind of maybe not trusting him and questioning him a lot, which puts the professor off for sure. And he does some research and he learns about who he is and, that he seems kind of legit based on the information that he can find about him. And oh, look, he's Cyborg's helping out Flash. I wonder if this is Wally West and not actually Barry, but no, because I think it has Barry's belt. Or is that Wally's belt? I can't remember. Anyway, so yeah, I did see that, Smurf. What was that all about? Was she talking about Heatwave? We'll see. Anyway, yeah, I think Harrison is Hunter Zolman. So when West was talking to Harrison and they were doing their thing, I found that to be really interesting. And we'll talk about what that sets up later for Detective West. But the most important thing about this episode was that because Iris is blogging about the Flash or the Streak, which, by the way, it's just, I'm so sick of that. I'm so glad that Barry gave Iris the Flash name, because I am absolutely hated the fact that Clark was called the Blur for so many years on Smallville. I just couldn't freaking take it. Here's the actor that plays Girder, by the way, and he never loses this look. He just gets kind of shiny metal. Here's another look at him actually in action here. So his origin story is very similar, although I think it happens, if I caught it right, during the accident where Barry was created. He starts getting really angry because he gets fired and starts beating this guy to death, his foreman, and then he falls in this vat of molten metal. His friends think he's dead, but he ends up, Flash goes back there and finds his little footsteps coming out of the crucible and everything. It was so cool. So very cool. And Barry has a lot of trouble with this. I think Barry's learning how to fight too. Professor Zoom, Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne, is actually teaching him how to fight, and Barry's doing pretty good. He can actually put some speed in some of these splits a heavy bag and everything. Cisco's trying to teach him a lot about this thing called, going as fast as he can. He'd need to hit Mach 1 in order to penetrate and hit the metal on Girder just hard enough in order for him to do the damage he would need to take him out. And this all comes to a head when Iris gets it was looking like another Blur vibe. It did suck. So I'm so glad that Barry got Iris on the Flash name really quickly. So that was awesome. I like to see that. So Cisco names Girder. I thought it was really great how he named Girder. And then the wow moment on this show for me, folks, the wow moment comes toward the end, and I want to share it with you right now. This is so awesome. I love how they're introducing powers and the rate at which Barry is learning how to do this stuff on the show. Holy smoke. This comes when Barry is trying to rescue Iris, and he needs to build up speed to Mach 1. And as Cisco calls it, the supersonic punch. This is why the show is awesome. Okay, there he goes. He metals up. Look at that as he flies through the door, guys. When they do this bullet time stuff and they show the Flash doing his powers in slow-mo like that, it just freaking blows my mind. They'll have him doing all kinds of really cool stuff, like jumping up onto he blew out the windows when he was going down there too, Carmen. It was like more and more windows as he was running were getting blown out, and then all of a sudden he just burst through the door, full on lunging at the guy. It was insane, and look, you see the sparks of the Speed Force coming off him and everything like that. It was absolutely insane. Loved it. And then, of course, at the end of this, Cisco's like, Sonic Boom Punch! He's so happy during the whole thing. So that was pretty amazing moment on the show. That's the wow moment from Flash for this week, for sure. And I think you guys would agree with me. Yeah, Iris had to finish him off, and they set that up earlier when Iris was or Detective West was trying to teach Barry how to box, and he said, there's no shame in running away from an enemy you can't beat. And so Barry leaves Iris in Girder's clutches, and you think like, oh my God, he ran away. No, he can't be running away. And then he stops, he turns around, and he does that sonic boom punch, and it was awesome. And I loved it when they did the train scene, when they do things with him like somebody's about to get hit by a car and he just sort of is running over the car, but he's always at these odd angles where he's like turning his body in slow motion to pull off these maneuvers, and it just really focuses on how agile he is at that speed. It was awesome. That was clearly the wow moment of the show for me. All right, so that was Flash. Now, or actually, there's one more thing I want to talk about. So, crazy stuff happens. So, in the pilot episode, we see who I believe, I don't know if it's Reverse Flash, like Professor Zoom, or Zoom, that kills Barry's mom. I think it is Zoom, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it is Zoom, so Hunter Zolomon, that kills one of Barry's family members. So, all of a sudden, because Detective West is talking to Harrison, trying to get to the bottom of this murder and believing that he has an ally that in Harrison, because he believes in the Flash and he knows that there's supernatural forces or meta-human forces at work. And he basically gets a visit from Zoom, from this yellow and red lightning bolt person at the end of the episode. And West is working on the files for the case, trying to look at details, and all of a sudden, after talking to Harrison and feeling like he's cleared Harrison, he gets a visit from the same thing that Barry described when he was a kid. And so West finally sees it with his own eyes and knows what Barry's talking about. So it's like absolute 100%. Not only he believed him before, but now he like has eyewitness proof, or he can also be a witness and testify to this event, and they have something in common. And so he steals all the evidence. And West looks up, and there's a picture of Iris, and it says, "Stop or else." And then there's a kitchen knife stabbed through Iris's heart, which is exactly how Barry's mom died. I think she was stabbed through the heart with this knife. And so you could just see the look on his face, the horror. Really well done by the actor, very well played out by the actor. I enjoyed it, that scene a lot, and it just was not something I expected to happen, actually. So you really get the feeling that Harrison is threatened, if it is Zoom, and I believe it is, because he goes in that wall and he sees the paper from the future, and he's actually walking, but he's not in a wheelchair. And oh my goodness, it was just a really heartfelt moment where he was absolutely terrified and didn't know what to do. Which of his children, his blood or his adopted child, right, does he help? Who does he help? What does he do? Does he stop and break his promise and protect his daughter? I mean, oh my God, I'm really curious to see where he's gonna go with this. Well, last Vesuvian, doesn't it give away Harrison a little too much? Harrison's already given himself away. I don't know if it was episode 2 or 3 or even 1. Right away this guy's a phony and that he is a manipulator, and he's an antagonist, because he like goes into his little secret thing and like magical door and goes through, has a paper from the future, stands up out of the wheelchair, was waiting for Barry to get zapped by the lightning bolt. They've already outed him. We know he's not a good dude. We know, right? You guys and me, we're onto this, right? We get it. Maybe everybody else watching doesn't get it, but we get it, right? Anyway, so great show, continuing to be awesome, and I am super duper psyched for it to continue. But what's next on Spyt-Takes? And by the way, if you're just joining us now, welcome to Spyt-Takes. Thank you for coming and joining us this evening. This is I am your host, Spytle, and these are my takes on various shows that are going on. We're going to cover our last one here, which is Arrow. Next week, we'll do this on Thursdays at 9 o'clock. We will cover all of the various shows of the week: Constantine, Gotham, The Flash, and Arrow. And speaking of Arrow, let's get to this show that I apparently need to shut my mouth about. Right, Veritas? No, I'm not going to shut my mouth. Come on. Come on. Come on. As Forsaken Soldier would say, get out of here. I'm not going to do it. All right. Arrow. All right. First of all, we'll get to that, Smurf. We'll get to that. First of all, they always do something that just kind of throws me a little bit on this show. So they introduced a new character. And that character was, everyone, come on. What is it? Say it with me. Say it with me, people. Come on. It's Cupid, stupid. All right, so Cupid, an actual real character from the Arrow mythos. Go figure, bow and arrow. Cupid is an obsessed admirer of Green Arrow. They nailed that. And has taken it upon herself to hunt down his enemies to prove her love to her man. She nurses an extreme hatred for Black Canary. Well, for right now, she doesn't have to worry about that because Black Canary's dead, or at least the one that was formerly Black Canary. There'll be another one soon, I'm sure. Anyway, so this is Cupid. I thought the actress did a very good job with this character. It is a bit of a ridiculous character. See, the things that they do sometimes with this is that I have trouble with some of the believability of how things unfold. And I know I should suspend my disbelief, is what some of you are going to say to me. But my problem was, honestly, and we'll get into some pictures of Cupid in a minute. Actually, we'll start looking through right now. My problem was, I just had a lot of trouble with the whole fact when, like, they find in the Arrow, they find the there she is right there. They find in the Arrow the little tracking thing, or no, it's an address, almost like a fortune from a fortune cookie, right? A little slip of paper. And so Ollie goes there, and they find this apartment, and there's candles lit everywhere. It's all very romantic. How the F would she know when he was gonna arrive? When he was gonna actually get there? She didn't know who he was at this point. She didn't know that he was living or operating out of Verdant, the club. And so she would have to know. There's no effing way she could light all those candles in time if he did arrive. If she couldn't have lit them ahead of time because she killed the guy like a day earlier or something like that. And so they would have burnt out, right? But no, they were all like freshly lit and everything like that. I just don't, you know, it's too over the top to be believable that she could and would light all those candles like that for that little sort of overture romantic moment. And so it's little things like that that just make me go, grr, how did that work? You know, that throw me out of the moments in the show. So here's Cupid. Here's a saucy Cupid. Here's some more. Oh, she carved that into her bosom. That's a scar, apparently. Well, let's not even go here. We don't know what that looks like. Fan art. We don't need to go in there. Boy, there's a lot of stuff. Oops. I thought I had safe search on for this, but there's a lot of stuff. You know what? Let's go to Comic Vine's version. It's probably a little more safe for work. Okay, here we go. So here's some images of her. So they did the red hair very well, that's for sure. They definitely did change the costume quite a bit here, though, in terms of you know, what she looked like in here versus on the show. So Ollie saves her on the show during, I guess, last season, Deathstroke. In fact, they actually had that girl. Yeah, she did leave a note, Val MMO, in the tip of her arrow. My issue isn't how he found her. It's that how she would have timed that fucking amazing presentation of candles. Look at Ollie. Looks like he's kind of down with her a little bit here, which is sort of how the show ended. He didn't throw her into prison. He gave her to Amanda Waller so she could be in the Suicide Squad, like she needs help. So he didn't like sort of totally, get rid of her or throw her into prison or forsake her. It almost feels like he left the door open for her to come back a little later. So my other problem here with this character and with the episode was, I just don't buy that Oliver Queen, this hardened, expert, amazing combatant, right? This guy who's trained by the League of Assassins, basically. At least that's what I'm understanding in here. Is actually... Hopefully there wasn't any crazy sound going on there. Sorry about that. Is actually going to get the better of Oliver Queen or even land a punch. Like, she missed with the arrow. He shot the bow out of her hand. And then she proceeded to actually put up a fight and kind of get the better of him and kick his ass. And he had to break his feet. She, handcuffs him to a train track. It was just all way too close and seemed like she was... How did she get this training? How did she get that good at doing what she was doing? I didn't quite get it. So I thought the Cupid storyline, although very true to the comics, wasn't my favorite aspect of the show. I got to tell you, my favorite aspect of the show was actually dealt with Felicity and Ray Palmer. So let's look at Felicity Smoke. Okay. Hey, Dirty Saul, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Appreciate you following me. So this character is probably one of my favorite characters on the show. I think Felicity is an amazing character, not really in the comics, but this actress does an amazing job. And I just want to say that last night she goes on a dinner date with Ray Palmer, and oh my God, she is stunning. Absolutely stunning. The way they did her hair up and put her in that beautiful blue dress, it was just wonderful. And the chemistry between this actress and Brandon Routh as Ray Palmer is really, really, really good. Probably my favorite scene of the evening that wasn't sort of fanboy nerdy was when Felicity was at dinner with Ray, and she gave this speech about Ray, and it was so sincere and so well delivered by the actress. I just thought it was a fantastic moment. Camera work was really great. How they kept zooming in on her while she was talking and basically saying that, look, Ray wants to do good in the world. He's a businessman that isn't out for profit. He's out for being a philanthropist. And if he's interested in your mine and he wants your mine, because Ray was trying to buy this mine and we don't know why until the end. So Ray is trying to buy this mine, and she just vouches for him and just says, if he wants your mind, you can be sure he's going to make the world a better place with it. And Ray was kind of, blushing, and it was just wonderful. And then later when they got back to Palmer Technologies, Felicity's office, they kissed, and poor Oliver going to, go and tell Felicity how he felt, sort of sees this, and he just misses out. But you can kind of tell that, Brandon Routh, Ray Palmer backs off a little bit, but also Felicity seems a little confused by it. Like she wanted to maybe say, whoa, that's a little too far or what. I don't know. We'll see what she says, but holy moly, that actress is just absolutely gorgeous. Does a wonderful job on the show. Very good delivery, very great emotional range, and she showed it last night in that dinner scene where she stuck up for Ray. Was absolutely fantastic. Now, that brings us to our wow moment of the show. One would think that the show Arrow, the wow moment would involve Arrow, but it doesn't. It involves Ray Palmer. Now, I sort of had this feeling last night when, Smallville was a great show, but it did start getting a little stale with Clark, or should I say the Blur, after a while, until they brought on the Green Arrow. They brought on Oliver Queen, and he brought a real breath of fresh air and became a major player on that show. I mean, he became so popular and so necessary to the dynamic of the show that he pretty much was a series regular after that. I mean, Superman, Green Arrow team up, it was totally done because they needed something else to prop up the show. When you see Ray Palmer and Brandon Routh's character coming onto the scene, and the wow moment is not really with Arrow, but actually with one of the supporting members, Ray Palmer, you got to start wondering what they're going to do to keep these characters relevant. Now, before I move on to the wow moment, I actually did want to talk about something, and that is Roy Harper. So, I don't know what they're doing with this character right now. Last week, Oliver made a reference to Roy, talking about him being an arsenal. You're my arsenal, or something like that. I forget what the exact reference was, but they kind of made a reference, and I thought that, it would be passing. Guess what? This episode, Oliver actually refers to Roy as Arsenal. Like, he calls him Arsenal. This, I just don't get. I'd rather him call him Speedy, which he did in season 1 when they met. He's really fast. You're really speedy or whatever. But, he calls him Arsenal, but he's not Arsenal right now. He's more Red Arrow than anything else, which I would have preferred he called him Red Arrow. Like, Arsenal has guns and rifles, and he has an arsenal. He isn't just about... He isn't just about... It's weird. No, Speedy isn't Thea. Roy is Speedy, and they call Roy Speedy in the first season, I believe, as a reference. But this time now they're calling him Arsenal. He's not the Arsenal. You guys agree with me? He doesn't have any weapons yet. He's just using the bow. They need to expand this guy's character out a little more with the various weapons before they start calling him Arsenal. So I thought that was very true to the canon, but very premature in the development of the character. And it was very strange. Ollie's called Thea Speedy. I must have missed that. My apologies. So, okay, well, good to know, Aiden. I haven't watched much Young Justice, to be honest with you. I missed that series. I admitted it. But he needs to do something more, honestly, than just the Arrow to earn the Arsenal moniker, in my opinion. All right, so back to the wow moment here as we get ready to close the show. What do you think it is, guys? I want to know from you. I'll give you a few seconds to guess. I did tell you it does involve Ray Palmer. It does involve Ray Palmer. What's it going to be? What's it going to be? What's it going to be? I'll let you catch up. Yes, it is this ending. You do know what it is, Smurf. You do know what it is. Yes, it's the Atom. No, it is not Boomerang. It is the Atom suit. All right, so here in this scene, we actually learn what Ray is interested in the mind for. He talks about white dwarf matter. He uses white dwarf matter to power the belt that makes him large and small and become subatomic size and go find the Palmerverse. Holy crap, that's so cool. I wonder what Felicity would think if she knew what he was going for. And then check it out, people. Look what flippin' happens on this show. This blew my flippin' mind when I saw this. First of all, I thought that this was going to stop right here. He was going to look at this. He was going to see the belt, or whatever they actually call it here, which is the exosuit rendering, the ATOM. Right? And then, oh my God, they took it like another step further. They started rendering out this holographic image of it. And then they had him standing there in front of it looking at it. Like he was just dying to get into the suit. And all he needed was that white dwarf matter. Oh my goodness. That was flipping awesome. So that was the wow moment of the show for me, people. Wow moment of the show right there. Didn't even involve Arrow. It involved Ray. So I can't wait to see more Ray. I know him and Ollie should become good friends and good partners. I'd like to see more of the Atom. in this show. Definitely glad they're going in that direction instead of the Huntress and stuff like that. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Although they've just introduced Ra's al Ghul. Thought that was very cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this all plays out and everything like that. So the last thing I would want to say, let me go back here and talk about Arrow just a little bit more. The end, Boomerang, Captain Boomerang makes an appearance. Love that. Love the actor that they chose for that. Loved the actual look of the Boomerang. Thank goodness he doesn't have a freaking orange little and a stupid McDonald's diner chef hat and ridiculous scarf. They made him cool. They made him like the Captain Boomerang that was the original Boomerang's son. So I like what they did with that character. Can't wait to see. They are pulling out all the stops on these shows right now. Interesting that they chose to introduce Boomerang, who's typically a Flash villain, on Arrow. A lot of crossovers coming too soon. I know there's a 2-part event where Arrow and Flash are crossing over. So anyway, that is Spyt-Takes episode 2. Thank you so much for joining me here and talking about Constantine and Gotham and Flash and DC. Love these shows. They're very good. They're going to be going on mid-season hiatus pretty soon, so we'll be changing up the tempo here, but we still have a few more shows to go through before we do that. And we'll keep this a show about super stuff. But soon we might be doing a show about urban fantasy stuff or a show about sci-fi stuff. As these shows come and go, so will our show adapt to them. You can check out this show. I'll put it up on my YouTube as well, so you can check out a replay there if you missed it. If you were here live, loved having you in the chat. Loved talking to you about this stuff. It was super fun. And I can't wait for next week. I'll probably check out a little bit of Constantine tonight and get myself started and ready for the show next week. I hope you like the new format and some of the extra bells and whistles I added. Please give me some feedback on it if you'd like to. You can talk to me on Twitter at Spytle and follow me there. You can use the hashtag Spyt-Takes if you would like. And I would love to hear your comments on the show. And I'm just having fun doing this. If you want to help me spread the word about the show and what I'm doing here and get some other people to kind of come on in and follow, I would appreciate it. Trying to build my following here on Twitter and YouTube so I can do more shows like this and share with you my gameplay on the PS4 specifically. Again, my name is Spytle, Senior Creative Director at Sony Online Entertainment on the DC Universe Online project, and I was happy to spend my Friday evening with you. You all take care. Until next time, see you later.